This Rise and Shine podcast series has been made possible by the generosity of the Zeidelman Family Foundation, which is committed to the unity and continuity of the Jewish people through meaningful and relevant Jewish education and wisdom.
You want to feel more love? Then give more. We love that which we invest in, no matter how blissful and challenging and rewarding it is to love our children. The hardest part of raising them is often preparing them to leave the nest.
This is Rise and Shine, a podcast that offers timeless wisdom and uplifting meditations to fill your heart, feed your soul, and start your day on a positive note. Here is Adrienne Gold Davis.
Every new school year, I get that panicky feeling in my stomach and a tightness in my chest. Now, I haven't been in school for over 40 years, but I can still feel the angst of that first day. You know, the fear that I'm going to have no friends, or I won't be able to open the combination lock on my locker, the worry that my clothes will be wrong, that I will be wrong. It's like the body remembers and reacts accordingly. So I've often wondered whether I projected that feeling onto my kids unknowingly. After all, we know that children respond not to what we say, but to the energy around our statements. They can feel our undercurrents and take their cues from them. Therefore, it behooves us to work on our own psychological state and manage our own issues so that our kids will be able to learn by our example and not have to manage our stress that might undermine our words. The Torah teaches us that we must raise our children according to their way, not our way. This can serve as a reminder for us to separate from them and not see them as the second coming of us, to allow them the individuation and independence they deserve. That is our job. You know, I must confess, I bought a new outfit for my older son's preschool graduation, and I cried as he walked across the circle out of my lap to accept his diploma. I remember thinking he was about to enter the world. Oh gosh, he was only 4 years old. I also remember getting my hair done for my other son's 6th grade graduation. I was also thinking about what color I was going to wear for his wedding. And in the end, one of my kids went to Israel for the year right after he finished high school. He'd been accepted to the University of Toronto, which is a superb school in our hometown. But while in Israel, he met a bunch of kids from New York and decided he preferred to go to school there. He took his SATs in Israel. He got himself a scholarship, and off he went. And he never came home to live again. I'd thought that I had another 4 years with him. I was wrong. Being a mother was a revelation for me. Love of that intensity shook me. I understood finally the notion that the word for love in Hebrew, ahava, has a root within its spelling that says hav, which means to give. Our sages tell us there's a profound lesson in that etymology. We love who or what we give to. This is why no matter how much your kids love you, they will never, ever, 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 ever love you as much as you love them, because parents give and kids receive. The giver always feels the love more intensely. And this is what it should be. And it's deeply instructive in our romantic relationships as well as in our work lives. You want to feel more love? Then give more. Invest more. We love that which we invest in, that which we give to. And so, no matter how blissful and challenging and rewarding it is to love our children, the hardest part of raising them is often preparing them to leave the nest, to pass through the liminal spaces of their lives without us. It can feel like a broken heart. And every back-to-school birthday, graduation, and milestone will underscore this. One of my favorite quotes that's been credited to many different authors, such as Albert Einstein and the American author and professor John A. Shedd, goes like this. Oh, I love it. A ship in port is safe. But that is not what ships were built for. Our kids are built, and we must raise them to leave the harbor and traverse the seas. And we don't get to be captain anymore, not even a simple sailor, but we get to be a lighthouse. And they get to decide when to come to port. Well, we give them their rudder, their anchor, but more importantly, their sails. Each new school year, we're going to try to prepare them to stay on course, but there will be times where the inevitable storms of their lives will knock us both off. And that's why we need our compass of moral, ethical, and spiritual clarity to be firmly established. In his beautiful essay on liminal space, experienced by the children of Israel as they left Egypt and made their way through the desert, Rabbi Sacks writes the following essay, quoting Arnold van Gennep in his book, The Rites of Passage. Societies develop rituals to mark the transition from one state to the next, from childhood to adulthood, for example, or from being single to being married, and they involve 3 stages. The first is separation, a symbolic break with the past. The third is incorporation, re-entering society with a new identity. Between the two is the crucial stage of transition, when, having said goodbye to who you were, but not yet hello to who you're about to become, you are recast, reborn, refashioned. Van Gennep used the term liminal, from the Latin word for threshold, to describe this second state when you're in a kind of no man's land between the old and the new. This is clearly what the wilderness signifies for Israel, liminal space between Egypt and the Promised Land. Back to school can be a liminal space. Parenting can be the ushering through of and accepting of transitions. This week, can you examine your own reactions to liminal space? Is transition difficult for you personally? Are you able to manage your anxiety in those in-between times? Can you make a concerted effort to work on your own reactions, not just for your child, but mostly for yourself? Because part of raising a child in their own way requires raising yourself as well. And that is a lifelong exercise. May it be a good year. May they eat their lunches and do their homework. And may we enjoy every moment.
Thanks for listening to Rise and Shine. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to Momentum Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Join Adrian again next time for more timeless wisdom and uplifting meditations that fill your heart, feed your soul, and start your day on a positive note.
This podcast was sponsored by the Zeidelman Family Foundation. Spread the wisdom. Inspire Jewish individuals around the globe by supporting Momentum's podcasts. To sponsor, contact podcast@momentumunlimited.org. You're listening to a Momentum podcast. For unlimited inspiration, wisdom, and empowerment, visit momentumunlimited.org.